Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today is December 14th. It's Thursday if you're watching us or listening to us live, and this is the Daily AI Show. So today we are here to talk about kind of a really cool topic, and all credit goes to Beth on this. In fact, let me introduce who's here today. Jyunmi, Beth, Andy, Eran, I'm Brian, and we'll see if we get Karl and Robert popping in at some point. But all credit goes to Beth on this one, because this was your idea, Beth. And it's the idea of custom GPTs or pop-up custom GPTs, which if you were just to do a Google search on that, you're probably not going to find a lot on it. There's like one article that I found, but when you explained what it was, my entrepreneur brain just took off on this topic. And I was like, ooh, I have a lot of ideas. So before I jump into those, why don't you kind of give us the background of where this concept or idea came from for you? And then let's dive into maybe all the fun ways that this could play out in different industries and different things like that. So take it away, Beth.
Sure. So I think if you're new to the podcast, you haven't heard this story or the live, but those of you who've been with us for a while may have heard this. The first chatbot that I spun up was based on Salesforce help documentation, because Salesforce help documentation is super detailed and comprehensive, and the search feature is not super helpful. So I wanted to create a chat experience for myself about how to do a specific thing. And the specific thing was building a Lightning Web component. And that got my head spinning. One of the things that I do is training, right? Is to create training, custom training for organizations. And I have wanted something that would be really targeted and simple for people to use based on what we're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's I can only train in, like, I'm only there for a specific period of time. I'm only training in one style. I'm trying to use other people's stuff, but like some people need to learn kinesthetically, some people need to learn visually, some people need to learn through stories or analogies or that sort of thing. Like I heard Paul Raitzer on a marketing AI podcast say, explain it to me like it's golf. Right. So like everybody has that individual thing that, like, okay, I have like a really detailed mental picture of this. If you could explain it to me like that, I'll get it. Mm-hmm. And this creates an opportunity for everybody to go in to the material and ask that personalized question for themselves and have AI customize what we were just learning. That's where the idea came from.
That's awesome. And obviously mine would be explain it to me like I'm a firefighter, because we know that's the only way I can conceptualize any of these ideas. Had they just started my education a long time ago and said, we'll teach it to you like a firefighter, maybe I would be way smarter and way farther ahead. I love that. I
want to hear Andy's version, like a cowboy type scenario.
Andy's got a bunch of...
Let me tell you something. Right now, rolling around in Andy's brain, I know he has 1,000 ideas for this. There's no doubt in my head. There's no doubt in my mind that Andy is like, he's about to jump off on this. So I will tell you now, what I'll do is I'll pick it up from here, and then let's just open up the conversation. Where my brain went with that, Beth, because you explained that, and I was like, ooh, that's kind of cool. But then I immediately took a left turn at Albuquerque, and I went towards like thinking about business and business ideas, but not just business. Then I started going into education and other areas. So I'll just start with a few just to kind of get the conversation started. Okay, education. Well, let's take my daughter. She's in 7th grade. One of her subjects is civics. Okay, she's got a civics teacher that's talking about the Constitution. That's talking about all these things about, general civics, right? It's kind of like a government class, but not exactly. Okay, well, I can't, as the teacher, what I can't do, because let's just back up a second, custom GPTs require for you to use it, whether you created it or you're just using the URL, you have to have a paid account of ChatGPT. Okay, you can't do that to students. You can't say, everybody go home and tell your parents you need this $20 subscription to use this tool to get better at class. That's not going to work. But the teacher can create essentially a pop-up one that's on the lesson segment they're talking about in civics, and then say, input their notes, their teacher notes, what they think is important, maybe the stuff that the students have learned maybe over the last 2 weeks, not a long period of time. And then say, okay, class, I'm going to project this custom GPT up onto the board. And together, we're going to go through the answers. And if you get it right, there's a bonus point for it. We're going to gamify this together. And so, I threw one up. What I did was I went and found a custom GPT that kind of does a quiz master. And so basically it was like, I went and found some, not my daughter's, but some civics notes from 7th grade. Somebody had them online, right? Go figure. And it's like, okay, about the entitlement thinkers. So the only question I could answer out of all of these was Montesquieu, I think is how you say it, proposed the separation of government powers into 3 branches. Can you name 3 branches? I was like, I can do that one. So I answered that question and I got it right. I could not answer any of the other ones on there about the social contract and other things I'm sure my daughter is remembering and learning. But it's super fun, right? Like this teacher can pop up this custom GPT that only has really one. Now, maybe this teacher will use it every year. So maybe it's repetitive in that sense. But it only really has this one use case, which is to gamify, to make it more fun, to make sure that my students can not only answer questions, but can start asking Socratic questions back to it because it is a custom GPT. It's got the knowledge of GPT-4. And then bring in critical thinking skills. So we can answer the question and go, what else do we want to know about the 3 areas of government? Now, may not even be in the training doc, but that's okay. I can ask GPT-4 all day long, ChatGPT, about the 3 branches of government. So I might ask my students, like, that's great. You got that right. Legislative, executive, and judicial. Great. What other questions might we want to know about that if you didn't know anything about the 3 branches of government? Boom. Socratic questioning, opening up. Now the student can come back with better ideas. Okay. That's one for education I think would be super awesome. But let's just take one like I was saying to Eran in our Slack channel. I bought a new home, but I had it built. Took 15 months for the house to be built. Long process. There was the land, the whole thing, right? So, but I'm in a neighborhood. There's houses to 10 feet on either side of me. So there's 6,000 houses in my mega neighborhood that I'm in, right? It's huge. But that's an area, like I was from this area. I already lived here. But let's say I didn't. We have tons of people moving from, like, our neighbors are from California. They do not know this area that I live in. So if I'm a builder, not only can I create a custom GPT, 90% of it is going to be stock. But the other 10% of it might be my child's age, where they're going to go to school, the things that I care about in the community. Maybe I'm very religious and I'm going to want to know about churches that are Christian churches, or I go to mega churches, or I'm Catholic, or whatever, right? So I might throw in some suggestions there, or places you might like, out in California, we really like going to Trader Joe's. What are my options here? I can easily, as the home builder, put in the floor plan, different things they're going to need to know, where the outlets are going to be, all this other fun stuff that was always coming up in conversations that I had to have as the home builder. And for that 15-month process, they could have built this pop-up GPT that would have enhanced that whole experience for me and got me even more to be part of the community. And what would I have been thinking about Taylor Morrison, the builder, as a friend in that process, as opposed to like, they did this wrong, it's delayed again, like the things that go with building a house that are super annoying. Then if you had a pop-up business and you had an ice cream shop or something like that, sure. Yeah, people waiting in line, you could do super fun with a QR code. We could think of a lot of ideas there. Hey, go use this. If you have ChatGPT, if you have a Plus account, go use this. There's some fun Easter eggs in there. And if you find 1 or 2 of them, we'll give you 15% off your dude. But you got to do it before you get to the front of the line or before your ice cream's ordered. Super fun, super engaging way for businesses to use this in person, but also in ordering and stuff like that. Okay. So that's where my brain is. Thousands of ideas. What do you guys got? What makes you light up when you think about this idea?
So I just want to speak before other folks do. The reason that it's pop up versus a chatbot, right? Because you can do a bunch of what we're talking about in chat-based or retune. The reason that it's pop-up is because it's so simple, and it is included in the cost of a ChatGPT Plus subscription. So it's included in the cost of $20 a month. If you have your community has that, and so for my trainings, that would be part of like you join the training, you do at least a 1-month subscription, right? If you can control that, you can pop these things up in like no time.
Yep.
And if you put a little more time in, then they're like not just good, they're amazing, right? So that was part of the idea.
I love it. Yeah, there's like, other than your time to invest to pop them up as the creator, there's really no cost, because as long as they already have the paid account, it just goes into their usage of what they're doing for that URL. It's a great point to it.
Very few of the alternatives have the builder feature that OpenAI includes in the custom GPTs. And that's part of why it's so simple and on demand and pop up. You can do a very simple prompt in natural language, and it will guide you through the development, asking you questions about what you really want the GPT to do until it gets to a prompt that it has fashioned. And I got to believe that model has been trained carefully on how to optimize prompts based on natural language. And that's part of the ease of use of the GPTs. Now, I do want to say that, we wrestle around the whole question of sharing and distribution of these things because it does require the plus subscription. So I loved your workaround, Brian, of saying, okay, well, the teacher can project it. That's if you've got everybody in the same room, which is, or I guess you could share it on the screen on Zoom, which is another way to distribute something that everybody in the community that you're playing to doesn't have access to.
Definitely.
Yeah, I really like the idea of the literal pop-up sense. So this, like, just event-based, right? Yeah. So whenever you're holding an event for whatever field, whether it is it's art, or you're doing real estate, or any kind of field that you, like Andy said, you just have everybody in the room, you can always just build a custom GPT for that event, right? Or cover a specific, and I think that's the key there, is that specific purpose for either it's just that event, that evening, or, a convention, or any of those kinds of things. You can have this central information, or if you want to use it to, like in your education example, Brian, where you want to explore and learn on a topic. So I think that can be applied to various fields.
Which kind of just pinged something, an idea into my head, which sounded a bit weird, but it reminded me of adult fun party games that you have. You like question and answers and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you could have a lot of fun with something like that if you had a group of people sitting around. They're either all using ChatGPT on their phone, or they've got maybe someone who's got a tablet that they're casting to the television and everyone's watching it. So, yeah, that could be, I mean, I never even thought of that before, but that could make for a fun game if you spin up a little GPTs on a specific topic and have some fun.
How many pubs and bars have trivia night, and they're trying to differentiate themselves from every other Tuesday trivia night?
Oh, yeah.
So you could either do it. So what I always think about trivia is like what kind of kills trivia is don't use your phones, don't use the internet. Okay, right? Everybody does. I would flip it on its head. I would create a pop-up custom GPT that says, no, use ChatGPT to try to find this answer. But these aren't just like Google it and find it one time. You may have to, in the course of a song playing, you might have to go down a rabbit hole to find this answer. We know it's not easy, and so, use ChatGPT. It's your buddy and your team, and see if collectively the three of you sitting at a pub table, over some chips and a beer, can come up with this answer. Or if not everybody has it in there, you go back to the education model and you say, okay, we don't want to require everybody that comes in the door to need custom, to have a pro account, but we can project it, and you could still do that in a bar and still play that way. And then just say, use the free side of ChatGPT, use the 3.5 of it. You can still get there. We're saying everybody at the table to use the internet, not to not use it, because you can't stop people from doing that. So we're going to make a really hard quiz game. We're going to make a really hard trivia game. That would be super fun. I'd go to one tomorrow if that popped up in my area. Because I like AI. I like to geek out on it, and it's something fun and unique and different that would set that restaurant pub apart from everywhere else.
And Eran, this inspired another idea. How fun would it be to do a treasure hunt using a custom GPT. You can preload all of the clues. You can use vision to take pictures. Like there's these citywide treasure hunts that they do now, right? And so you're figuring out the clues. It can feed you what clues for your next step. You can use vision to take pictures of things so that it can analyze and get the clue response that you want. I mean, if someone hasn't already built that, I think I'm going to do that next weekend.
That raises a question.
Oh
yeah,
create the lyrics, and then you have to come up and sing the new funny lyrics. Improv.
Yeah, I love it.
So I know that I've used in GPTs. I've used just a quick question. I've used GPTs to actually generate an image and present it to the user using DALL-E, but I didn't know that it would present an image that you've stored in knowledge. Have you done that? Can you actually present an image that's in there?
Yes.
Like you mentioned vision. Do GPTs have vision? And so you can upload it into the knowledge. You can put a library of images and then have those called and presented to the user of the GPT?
You can, but so I was playing around with it, and yes and no. So yes, essentially what I did was I put images into HubSpot, which has a directory, a file directory, and you can put it in there. And then you upload in your custom instructions, you can put because HubSpot gives you a link to the image, and the link is a .jpeg or a .png. But if you put it in Google Drive, you put it in Dropbox, you put it in Box, you put it in Google Pictures, the instruction was, if somebody says house 2, show me house 2. And it's like, boop, house 2, and it would show up as a JPEG. But if you save it as a link in a file, it won't show up. So if you upload it into the knowledge base just as itself, it won't work. But if you upload it in a file using HubSpot, it works. So
why HubSpot but not Google Drive, for example?
Because it's a direct link.
There you go.
Right? Yeah. So you could upload it into HubSpot. You could also, if you have access to your website's direct URL, you just need a direct URL that doesn't have some sort of sharing or other wrapper, kind of structure around it, which all those other things do.
Yeah. I just there's 2 points I had. One is the one thing that from a pop-up GPT that I feel, if you're going to pay $20 a month, if you do nothing else, if you're a business and you put $20 and you don't use ChatGPT for any type of anything, just for this one use, your $20 is well worth it, is to build a co-pilot for your business. So giving you advice on how to invoice, how to do business development, how to do whatever it is your business does. Imagine having an AI give you that. And the difference is it has a knowledge base. So you can train it on your website. You can train it on your FAQs, whatever it is. Then you can upload client information and then have a conversation there. So to me, that is for any business, I'm like, it'd be crazy not to have this. This should be a table stake already. And for $20, I like, again, if you don't use ChatGPT, if you don't use this for anything else, that is the greatest advantage you have as an AI giving you strategic advice on what your business does, and just keep asking it any type of question. To me, why wouldn't you do it? But the second point is, though, I've done a couple of webinars already to business owners, and it's still, they don't from that industry, those groups of people, they do not understand like GPT at all. I was trying to present it, but I was like, it's even more so, what is a GPT? And there's like, I think like that would be I don't know if it's a pushback, but it's like, you got to keep that in mind, because there's a whole swath of people that like people have told me, oh, you got to dumb this thing down. I'm like, I don't know how to dumb it down any further. Like, I don't know outside of like, I don't know how to do it. And so that is a thing that we have to be aware of as well.
Have you tried asking ChatGPT?
How to how to explain you?
I'll rephrase
really,
that.
Really simple.
Ask it for advice on how to best set it up that suits its needs. Now, you may end up getting hallucinations like we got last night when we were mucking around trying to transcribe a wave and an MP3 file, and it said, "Yeah, I can do that, no problems, but it's got to be a wave file." And
that's right.
You weren't there, Brian. That was fun and games.
That's right.
Carl, do you want to answer this question from Anne real quick? She's asking the top things would you add to that knowledge base? I'm assuming she means like if you're going to do it for your company.
Yes. I would add. So one is easy. One is your website. So use the scraper that Brian, you mentioned, because it turns your web pages into JSON, which you upload, or you can use it's called Gobblebot. It's it uploads everything, your website, your PDFs, your YouTube videos, and it turns into a text file, and you just upload that into your GPT. So there's Gobblebot, and then any type of employee manuals, any type of FAQs, any type of quarterly strategies, yearly strategies, whatever your company has. And it all depends on whatever it is, your quarterly reports, your financial reports, everything that your company possibly outputs that is either public or internal, whatever it is, put that in. And then if you're targeting if your business targets other businesses, put in their stuff. Like, use it to be like one of the things I'm building now is a ABM Copilot. So you upload the prospects, everything that you need to know about the prospect, and then that way you have a Copilot specifically for one target account. And then the other thing that you can upload is executable files. So you can what Brian did is like in terms of additional prompts. So for this ABM Copilot, I put in a way to execute a specific type of online search, and then or execute a competitor analysis in a very specific, targeted way. So you can target competitors, you can target, you can do specific searches. And then the last thing I heard about was, I don't know, maybe you all can know, how can you enable it to, you can download stuff from it. So you can turn things into zip files, PDFs that you can download. So I don't even know what you could do there. Like there's that.
You have to have a code interpreter turned on for that, for the downloadable stuff. And that introduces maybe some other problems with, if it's internal facing, it's probably not going to be as big of a deal because you don't really care if people can see the internal prompts or whether there's an IP there. So internal, it's probably not an issue, but that might come up on it. And, Karl, what you made me think of, and kind of Anne was asking this. Thank you, Anne. It's good to see you, by the way. And thanks for joining us today. Here's how I would do it. If I was a business, I 1000% agree with Karl. This is a no-brainer. You have a team of 20. Your company should be paying for $20 ChatGPT plus accounts. That's a no-brainer. It's the best money you'll ever spend every single month for your business. I don't doubt that for a second. Now, assuming that's the case and everybody now has access and can access these custom GPTs. If I'm the AI strategist at that company and I'm going to build the custom GPTs, I am not going to try to build one custom GPT to rule them all. That's a bad idea. What I will do is build a base custom GPT. That base custom GPT will have just the knowledge and files that I think it needs to have in its knowledge base about my company, or the bare minimum of it, right? It's the base. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy or move over from that custom GPT and say, okay, this is the base. And now I'm going to add in customer, or now I'm going to add in the event. Like my team is going to be on site in Austin together in late February. So now I take this base and I go Austin on site. And so what do I need to know for that? The schedule, the time, whatever the stuff is, Austin, restaurants around the hotel, transportation, Ubers, easy Ubers from the airport, all that crap, right? So I might just build a event custom GPT that has a very limited scope and window of time that it's going to be used from now to late February. By March 1st, it's shut down. There's no need for it. But the cool reason to do that is because when you build off that base, it's very easy to drop that and now take that base and build something else on top of it. What you get is highly niche, highly detailed, purpose-driven custom GPTs that doesn't confuse the model in trying to figure out that it needs to know everything about everything. You only need to know about this one specific like use case or how I want you to work. It makes the prompting much easier. You can be much more specific in your prompting and clear about your directions, and you're going to get much better answers out of it. And it's super easy to just stand up another one with a custom need for it. So that could be for a client. You could make custom GPTs for every single client that has those additional documents built into it. So that's how I would approach it.
I think like even to take Brian your idea even one step forward, like in our ABM Copilot, it enables all the teams to, because it asks questions about the specific prospect to begin with. So it asks 6 questions plus it encourages people to upload any files. So you could have 7 different people against 7 different prospects because it's asked in that thread or that person who's using that Copilot specifically with one prospect, and it could be used 7 different ways, but it's become unique because it's asked questions about a specific thing and then you fed it information. So now it's trained on that specific prospect.
And don't forget, there could be links, right?
For
so
sure.
You could have links in a custom GPT that's a link to another custom GPT. Like, so that it comes back and says, that would be a better, here, I'll give you a general answer, but that would be a better question for this custom GPT. Use this link. You click on the link, it opens up the new custom GPT. Now that one is highly specific to branding or whatever it is that you're internally trying to do as a Copilot. And it's focused on, laser focused on that task. That's a super easy way to make a tree off of one custom GPT that helps your internal company get whatever they need, or externally facing towards clients if you wanted to do that too, like you're saying, Karl. The opportunities are endless here. And they're like, Andy, you pointed out, it's so easy to do. It's so easy to stand up. You need 0 coding experience. Even if you've never built one, use the builder that they have built in because that makes it easy. Tell it what you want. Go through a couple prompts. It'll help you get the guide rails built on how you want that custom GPT to work. I know we have a few minutes here. I'm just curious if you guys go ahead, Beth. I could say you got something. You're on mute.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Yeah. Techie here. So now take everything that we've said and imagine you can do it purely through your phone voice interface. You can open the GPT in the iOS app or the Android app and hit the headphones on it. And now you're training the sales conversation. But we're training, I'm not just memorizing what I'm going to say. I'm practicing the words coming out of my mouth and I'm getting feedback about, but I missed one part, or you could make this shorter by like, you can then turn this into a conversation. It can be a brainstorming conversation. It can be a training conversation. It can be a mentoring conversation. It can be like, I'm blown away and I can't even figure out what the problem is conversation. And the GPT will ask you questions to elicit the information and then help, right? Like this becomes not just a writing interface, but also a speaking interface.
You just gave me a new idea. Jyunmi, you're going to love this. I'm an aspiring actor. I'm trying to memorize lines. I input the transcript of the lines, and then I talk into the custom GPT into my phone, and I repeat it back. And then it says, you did good, but this is supposed to be this word, and you missed this sentence that you're supposed to do. Or a speech at a convention. I have to go make a speech. I have to do a presentation. I'm nervous about it. I want to memorize it and make it sound really good. I repeat it back to custom GPT. It says, you did a good job, but you missed this part of it. You might want to add some more emphasis here, whatever the case may be. So now you have a tool that's working with you.
We need
and if it's using that voice interface, you can get them to read back part of the lines too. So
Yeah,
go through
right.
your script. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Right.
As long as my my other partner is always a female British counterpart in my scene, we're good, because that's the preferred default for me on custom
Right.
GPT.
Actually, right now you can't choose GPT's voice. It's just one voice.
Is it? I thought it was.
It
is it always a? Is it always?
It is.
I swear
It is
mine's
always
British.
that voice.
Is it?
Yep. And
Okay.
and she's a lot like I'm spacing her name. Sorry. Jyunmi, say your thing and maybe I'll come up with it.
Well, I just really
know,
wanted
Ann,
to riff off of Brian's ideas. I'd really like to know everyone's one idea they want to see. For me, I think this is a fantastic opportunity for people in the travel field, or even personally. You can build a custom GPT for your upcoming trip, right? Let's say you're going to go to Paris, France, and you want to know everything that your itinerary, everything that you're going to go see in the area, everything that can be suggested, the the non-famous areas, and all of that can just be in your GPT that you can look up really quickly, and then you can have a conversation with, and all of those kinds of things. Travel agencies, I know there's a few boutique ones out there that handle everybody's whole itinerary, setting it all up. Well, how about having a custom GPT that you set up for your customer, which you only have to have up for a month at most, because each customer's trip is, an average of 2 weeks. So you spin one up for them for their trip, and it has all of their itinerary information, all of the questions that they would want to ask of you, and of course, all the information on how to contact you directly, or your business. So I think there's lots of applications there, just for having a pop-up per customer, per event, or per interaction with your company, your business, or whatever field you're working in.
Love it.
I just thought of one then, and I don't know if this is a pop-up as opposed to a bit more long-term, but one of my challenges in helping my clients with their marketing is understanding their market and their product and their service and their customers really well. And it's often difficult to get that information out of them. But if I could give them just narrate voice stuff, when they think of an idea or they have a situation that occurs, and just fire the voice file to me via email, I can just throw it through Whisper, and I'm hoping that ChatGPT will figure out how to do it, unlike last night. And feed it into a custom GPTs that I can talk to and say, hey, I need an idea for a video for Fred Smith today. We're thinking of talking about whatever. What's Fred said about that? Give me some thoughts to build a video script, for example. So that actually could be really, really powerful. I'm definitely going to look into that a lot more.
Definitely. Beth, Karl, Andy?
So one of the things that, if you've been in organization or sessions with me, you've heard me say that one of the, I think, underutilized aspects of this is an opportunity to build rapport with your prospects or your clients, right? So that there is an interaction that can happen that is supportive, clarifying, empathetic, right? Because those are things you can build into these conversations, and so that's one of the ways that I see this as a really great possibility.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I have a kind of a TLDR, which is custom GPTs, in my conceptualization of what they have done in the world of AI, is they become a much better than a prompt library way of capturing specific targeted queries that you want to make, especially if you want to repeat those queries over time, because by putting it into a custom GPT very quickly, you get assistance in writing the prompt with the builder. You can then, if you've got some prompt engineering skills, you can really lay out a very sophisticated prompt. You have a database of knowledge that you can do. And over the time that you use that GPT, it'll evolve and you can improve it. It's not going to evolve on its own, mind you, but you can improve it by changing elements of the knowledge base and also of the prompt. And so it's all captured in this thing that is conversational and has expansive knowledge, GPT-4, plus powers. It has powers to act in some ways that you can implement in a GPT. Those are limited, but you have code interpreter certainly, and others that are coming, I'm sure. I mean, over time, when this thing goes into the wild, when they release this finally in the GPT store, I think you're going to see additional capabilities in the customgpt platform. So no need to create a prompt library anymore. Just create a GPT for every one of the things that you want to use.
I love it.
I think the last thing I'm pretty excited about actually is it's not just the GPT, it's the assistants that that part. Now I know all the other big custom AI, custom chatbot companies are going to be integrating that, but it's really about taking the ability to upload information and having, and I don't, like, my brain can't comprehend what possibilities there are, allowing people not just to have conversations, but then, hey, can you show me, I don't know, uploading pictures, eventually video, and then asking conversations about those things in a true multimodal fashion is it's very close, right? Gemini showed us the example, and then all the models, whether and especially the open source ones, that's going to be coming pretty quick. And with what we saw with Mistral being able to just upload a GPT 3.5 onto your phone or just a local drive, like, everybody will have some sort of ability to do that. That is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And really quick, I wanted to show that one of our viewers had an excellent idea as well, is helping people understanding plans in healthcare. So thanks, Gwen.
Yeah, I won't add any more examples because I have 1,000. I could go on for days on just ideas, and I love this stuff, just brainstorming new ideas. But hopefully this has kickstarted, if you listen to this has kickstarted some ideas of your own of like, oh, I could go in this area, that area. I will say, just because it's worth bringing up just as the end here, there are limitations. One is obviously accessibility. Not everybody is paying $20 currently. In fact, as Karl said, I just had a workshop the other day with like 15 people in it. Over half of them only had the free account. So this is we're excited about this. The people who are listening to the show, yes. The general public, probably not as much. So there's limitation factors there. There's also hallucination factors. So you have to be careful about what your use case is, because you have to factor in that it could in fact give wrong answers, and you have to weigh what you're using that pop-up for and whether that's a bigger deal or not bigger deal. Obviously in these lighter settings, the quizzes, the things like that, even the education one to a certain extent, because you have the teacher as the human in the loop plus all the students, these things can be like worked through. But you got to be at least careful about that and feeling confident that what is your use case? What's the intended user supposed to get out of that? And what happens if it lies? Is there a fallback? Is there a workaround to that or something like that? And saying I had a workshop yesterday, 10 people in it, 0 had the paid account. Yeah. So anyway, just to wrap it up, hopefully you got some good ideas. Tomorrow, we are doing our big review of Perplexity. So come on back for that. That's our Friday show. And then just want to put a plug out for next Friday show. We have shows for the next all through Christmas and all that too. But next week on the 22nd, next Friday show is our 100th episode. So we would love it if you guys would come back and share with us and celebrate it a little bit. That's on the 22nd.
Tell all your friends.
Tell all your friends. Yeah. Spread the love. We would love that. As we celebrate
your
getting
grandmother, your auntie, your uncle.
Everybody.
And the kids.
Everybody. But tomorrow we got Perplexity, so we'll be back giving our honest, and I keep putting honest in there, our honest review of Perplexity. Each one of us will come back and say whether we think, where it lands for us. So that's tomorrow. Okay, wrapping it up. That's it. This was a fun one. As you can see, this is right up my alley. I love this stuff. So we will be back tomorrow, guys. Let me get my splash screen going. Splash screen, where are you?
Bye.
Splash screen.
Aloha.
Stretch. If we could just stretch for a second, talk amongst yourself. I'll give you a discussion topic. Here we are. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Aloha.